In this video, we're going to take a look at how you can create a rank formula to use in your reports. So I've got this simple report that's showing my sales by salesperson, and it's sorted from most sales to the least amount of sales. So what I want to do is I want to set up a rank measure so that Deb Taylor would be listed as 1, Roy Eagle 2, 3, and so on. To do that, I'm just going to create a new formula. And what you'll find right now, when you look at the list of aggregation blocks, you will not see an option here for rank. So in order to create a rank, you'll have to use a mixture of functions and blocks. So if we go look at our statistical functions, you'll see that there is a rank function. If I drag that on to the screen, it requires 3 parameters. Parameter number 1 is a member object. So if I want to put a member in there, I can go to the element blocks, grab a member object, and then pick the attribute that I want to base the rank on. So in this case, it's going to be salesperson. Now, when you're doing ranks, you want the rank to be dynamic, meaning it should be context sensitive based on the report that you're building. So instead of picking a particular member, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to the upper right-hand corner and choose the FX formulas, which will give me what we call the context or the relative reference function, sorry. And specifically, I want this one here called current member. So we're going to take the current member of the salesperson's attribute, and we're going to compare that against a list object. So I'm just going to use a standard list, and I'm going to choose that same attribute, and I'm going to choose all. So basically, I want to compare a particular salesperson to all the salespeople. So that's what we're going to do there. And then the last one is we want to choose a data point for the numeric value. In this case, instead of actually using a data point, I'm just going to keep it simple, and I'm going to use the measure object. The data point is useful if you need additional filters for the logic. But in this instance, we're just going to keep it really simple. We're just going to compare it to sales. So we've got our member, which is the current member for the salesperson attribute, the list, which is all salespeople, and then the measure that we're going to base it on. Now, if I go ahead and test this, I should see that it's empty because right now the current member doesn't equal anything. So I will only see the actual value when I put it in the context of a query. Now, there is one thing to be aware of. When you first start adding all of these objects, you'll see over here on the right-hand side, there's this context property. And Pyramid tries to figure out the context based on the type of objects that you're using in the formula. And so you'll see that it assumes that, oh, I want to build this object on the salesperson attribute. But in fact, I don't want to do that. I will check the box and say this needs to be a measure, and I don't need any decimal places. Just FYI, this context, switching the context, can only occur before you hit the save button. Once you hit the save button, it will lock the context in, and that context cannot be changed. So you need to make sure that you set that context before you save the formula. Otherwise, you'll have to create a new formula and do it that way. So let's go ahead and save this. And I'm just going to call this sales, or I'll just keep it short. I'll just call it rep rank. And if I come back over here to my formulas, I'm going to go to my tree because I'm just going to look in my my content because I might have lots of formulas for this model. And there's my new formula, rep rank. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. You'll see it gives me the numbers there. But the beauty of this formula is it is dynamic based on the context of the query, which means I could do something like, let's add dates as a filter. And what you'll see is as I change my dates, the rank of my reps changes. Okay, so it is dynamic. I can add as many filters as I want to this filter drop zone, and it will re-rank all of my people. The last thing that I will mention here is, just like any other formula in Pyramid, I can use parameters. So right now I'm setting up the rank specifically based on the measure called sales. If I happen to have a formula, or I should say a parameter, that represents my measures, you'll see here I've got a parameter already called measure list parameter. I could in fact replace that and use that instead. And now when I save this, if I go back over here and hit refresh metadata, you'll see it's actually going to bring up a drop down. So now what I can do is I'm going to, instead of choosing hard coding the measure, I'm going to use that parameter. So we'll set up this report to use the parameter and the rank. So now I can show my rank based on profit. I can show my rank based on returns, based on quantity, and sales. And I just realized in my original design, I hard coded my sort. So what I'm going to have to do is also change my sort so that the sort will use the parameter as well. So we'll go choose the measure parameter, hit apply, and now when I pick the appropriate measure, it'll resort them as well. Okay, so there you go, creating a rank function to create a simple rank measure. It's a combination of using a function and then 3 different element blocks. Hopefully that makes sense, and will give you an idea of how you can implement it on your system. Thank you.